Well, hello, everybody. Got an important word for y'all. For all of you new folks coming into the industry, and for all of y'all that have been here for a while, that just haven't gotten comfortable with the concept of it, you might have come into the industry not feeling like you were allowed to use this word, and you still don't feel like you can now. It's a word that holds a lot of power once you learn how to use it proper. Very simple word, and sometimes it's not comfortable saying it, especially very early on when you feel like you're in the stage of paying your dues and you've just got to do whatever and anything to make your way within a new gig or a new industry if you're new to it, or if you're swapping jobs or anything. But I think it's the most important and most powerful words you can learn in the trucking industry. Personally, one of the simplest words there is: no. That is fantastically important word in the trucking industry. It took me a little while to learn it, and by a little while, I mean not more than a few weeks. When I first started, in work environments, I've never been extremely shy about saying no to certain things. Sometimes I put up with a little more crap than I should. I've been guilty of that before, but I've never been completely afraid to say no, and that started very early on in my career, on my very first job, when it came to missing my first kid's first birthday. Was not going to do it, and communication was getting lost, as it usually tends to do in a lot of cases when you're a new truck driver, with dispatch and them wanting you to do something that you don't want to do. I learned real quick that you got to learn how to tell these people no. They'll have you out there staying out longer than you want to, going home days after you meant to be there, driving to places or in conditions that you just aren't comfortable with. Just a myriad of things. And it's very important to learn how to say no, especially when it comes down to safety stuff. When it gets right down to it, any time that you're being asked to do something that you are not comfortable with, whether it be driving in certain weather or driving in a place that you're not comfortable with yet, and you just genuinely don't feel comfortable with it, learn to say no. Your safety is more important than anything out here. When it comes to, if you've dedicated yourself to the job and you've been gone for weeks and you've asked to be home at a certain time, you've got an important family event coming up, and you need to get home, and they're trying to push on you that it would really help them out if you could run this so-and-so load, but it's going to put you home a day, 2 days after you need to be home, and you've asked to be home, and it's been on the table for, weeks. Learn to say no. Don't do it. The quicker they learn, dispatchers and brokers and anything, the quicker they learn that you're gonna, that you understand that word, the quicker they'll start backing off on you on things. It goes for owner operators and stuff too that have been out here forever, especially if you're leased on to a company. If you're leased onto a place and not under a forced dispatch situation, and as far as I'm concerned, if you're paying for the truck, it's your truck, it's in your name, you're paying for the insurance and everything, you're never in a forced dispatch situation as far as I'm concerned if you're on the truck. But, if you're leased to a place and they do your dispatching and everything for you and whatnot like that, and they give you, they put loads on you, and if that load pays below what you need to get paid, or, it's not what you go into a place that you've asked specifically not to be sent to or anything, say no. Learn to say no. They'll either get mad at you or they'll understand, but they'll know that you're not willing to do that thing. Elsewise, they'll just keep on putting it on you. They'll keep on doing that same thing to you. If you're a new driver, if you keep letting them send you home days after you've asked to be home, they'll keep on doing that to you. If you keep on driving in that weather that you're not completely comfortable with, they'll keep on asking you to do so. And, eventually, hopefully, these things that you're not yet comfortable with, you'll grow into them as a driver over time, because you are a professional driver, and some things you need to learn to do. You need to adapt and exist within the industry to a certain point. But if you're never comfortable with certain things, you're what can you do? Just say no. That's like as far as the owner-operator thing goes. I mentioned like being leased onto a company like I am. I had to do it once this week already. I had to do it once last week. Just loads that financially were not practical to me. I had to say, no, not worth it to me. Not going to do that. And didn't cause any problems. And I didn't do what I didn't want to do. And, if you're full-blown, independent owner-operator with your own authority and stuff, these brokers and all, when they call you up offering you a load for cheaper than you want to do, or if you're negotiating a rate with them and they won't get to where you want to be, say, no, not going to do it. You book a load for a certain amount of money and you go load it up and I actually ran into this situation early on when I got my truck. Went and loaded at a place, had a set rate. It was borderline okay for the money and all. Got there, loaded up, left, got miles and miles down the road, and they called me up and were like, you got to turn around and go back. They forgot to put a skid on your truck. I was like, if you're not going to pay me for it, then no. And we talked about it, and I said no about 57 times for, about 10 or 15 miles down the road until we got to an agreement point of me getting paid the money I wanted to be paid to go, to go out of my way to turn around and go back in the middle of rush hour through a big city, and everything. I had to say no. It's a great word to learn within the trucking industry. You're headed towards, wintry blizzard weather, and it's not a good situation, but they keep telling you they really got to have this load. They really got to have this load. And, roads are bad, roads are closed and stuff like that, and they keep telling you, we really need you to get this done. No. Not going to do it. You're the one operating that truck. That's just a very important word. Say no when it comes to your safety. Say no when it comes to your budget and your financials if you own your own truck. Say no if it's interfering with your personal life. You are allowed to say no in this industry. These trucking companies will lead you to believe that you are not allowed to say no, that you've got to do whatever they tell you, that they are the, end-all, be-all gods of trucking, and that you should never say no to them because they know it all. That's not the case, and you're allowed to say no. Luckily, my company right now, they're pretty flexible with me saying no when I don't want to do something. We've not had an issue yet with me turning down something that I didn't want to do, and that's happened several times so far. No issues. So I'm lucky to be in a situation with that. I know that some companies are not so friendly when it comes to saying no to things, and when you run into that, maybe time to go find another place to go. And I'm not saying be a completely disagreeable human being that never helps out, that never does anything, that's the only word in your vocabulary is no. You still got a job to do, to a certain extent. You got to cooperate with things, but there are many times and many places where no is the correct answer, and you need to learn it. Don't just put yourself into situations that you're not comfortable with or that do not work for you just because you think you're going to ruffle some feathers. Sometimes you're going to ruffle feathers in life. Don't be afraid to. What are they going to do? There's people looking for truck drivers every day, all the time, everywhere. If they don't want you anymore, move on down the road to a place that does want you. You know, that's pretty. We are fortunate enough to work in an industry where there's just a constant supply of jobs in the trucking industry. You're always going to find a job. They're not all great, they're not all perfect, but there are always going to be a truck. You know, if one company is not working for you, there's one out there that will. So do not be afraid to say no. This industry will take and take and take and take from you and rule your life absolutely as far as you're willing to let it. There's going to be many times where you just got to put your foot down. Don't be run over in this industry. Be strong, stand up for yourself, look out for yourself. Again, don't be just a constant boat rocking turd that is disagreeable about everything. You know, sometimes you got to pick and choose your battles, but don't be afraid to fight that battle if you find the right one. N-O. No. Most important word you'll learn in this trucking industry. Learn how to say it, know when to say it. That's all I've got for now. Don't let anybody run you over in this industry. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. Write that down. Note it. Sleep on it. I'm going to go now. See y'all later. Bye-bye.